I think jumping on the mic this morning. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Timmy's New York Giants Trade Talk brought to you by the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, the number one sportsbook in America. Don't forget to jump in and get those bet tokens. We've talked about it before. Of course, on the Bleav Network. We're here to talk about Dexter Lawrence. We're here to talk about the defensive tackles. We're here to also talk about later on today because they're back again. Guess who's back? Back again. ZipRecruiter is back in the house. We're going to talk about ZipRecruiter a little bit as well. I love that I Bleav Joe, we're going to have you on. I just got to figure out a time for you. Joe Spano said it best. Going to be weird having a Sunday stream that doesn't include Gary Reasons. I'm not going to lie to you on that one. It is a little different. I was automatically assuming that Gary was just my co-host. I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, and you know what's funny? I think I can't remember if it was James Williams or Big. Oh shit! I gotta click no ads. Hold on, guys. I have to run to live streams. Then I go to monetization and I click off and I hit save. And now there are no ads. We are now an ad-free channel, except for the mighty FanDuel and ZipRecruiter.com. Oh, we have to talk about Dexter Lawrence. I know we don't want to talk about it. And I know we don't want to bring it up. I know we don't want to mention it because it's one of those things that it's just like he is the favorite Giant. He is the prodigal son, if you want to say that. He is the guy that if we take a look at that, he's just like, you know what? It's Dexter. We have this affinity by saying that he is the best son. Oh my God! Now I want to say that I got feedback there. What the fuck is going on there? My roadcaster has been acting up, and I don't know why. Tell me why. I don't know why the roadcaster has been acting up. I have no clue. Hold on. We got to try to fix this real quick here. We got to fix this real quick because some reason the roadcaster is acting up. Let's make sure that is on, that is off. But we need to talk about the man. We need to talk about the man that if we go back into the annals of time for the venerable, of course, we've said it before, for Dexter Lawrence. Dexter is just this guy that's been a constant Giant. This is a guy that's been on our team forever now. This is a guy that when we think of the New York Football Giants over the last 7, 8, 9 years, you think of Dexter Lawrence. You think of a guy that, you know, people say that is probably one of the best defensive tackles in the entire league. Do I see that? No, I haven't seen Dexter Lawrence be that top tier defensive tackle in years. Yes, Trenton says the Mets won in extra innings. Let's go, Mets, go. Okay, O'Donnell says if you trade Dexter, gonna need him before the draft. You're gonna need to trade him before the draft. Yes, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about trading him before the draft. We're gonna talk about moving on from Dexter. We're gonna talk about how if you take a look at Mike Lee says reasons could always be a last minute guest. You mean because we could talk about the reasons to believe? Reasons to Believe by Gary Reasons. And I told you before, I love the book. Why? Because I'm old and it has big print. And it's only 130 pages, which to me is phenomenal. I only watch movies that are like 96 minutes long. And it's got pictures. Go on Amazon right now. Go get the book. I already read it. I already finished it. You could tell because the spine is all bent up. It was a good read. It was a good read. I give and if you haven't done it already, please go to please go to Amazon. I think the Kindle version is still $1.49. Buy the book, read the book, give Gary a thumbs up, give Gary a good review. Okay, he says Giants need to get cheap at the position for the numbers Dexter's putting up is pedestrian. You know what? Okay, Donald, you just kind of stole my thunder there for a minute, but I did some research. And you know when Tim does research, there's usually something very wrong here, but I did some research, and I'm going to pull up my research here. I'm not looking at dummy accounts. I'm pulling up my research. If you take a look at the highest graded defensive lineman, in the NFL, the last interior defensive lineman, the last year, and do a deep dive. Don't just go to the Venerable Pro Football Focus. Do a deep dive. In some regards, I don't even have Dexter Lawrence in the top 20 after last year. At 36, Cameron Hayward over at Pittsburgh is probably the best interior defensive lineman. Had 53 pressures, 10th among defensive tackles, 4 sacks. His sack totals have dropped, but that's all right. And now if you want to get into his win-pass ratio, it's over 16%, which is the 5th highest among defensive tackles. Then you got to go, what's his name? Quinnen Williams over Dallas. You know, you want to trade Jerry World went fucking nuts and traded him. You know, you got him from the Jets. He had 30. We always talk about
King of the almost sack.
Somebody mentioned coffee. There's nothing better than a Black Rifle coffee when you have a wonderful mug. Ooh. But Quinnen Williams had 51 total pressures, 35 stops. If you go by the venerable Pro Football Focus, he had the highest run defensive grade at the position. He dominated for the Cowboys. He had 32 pressures from week 11 till the end of the regular season, which was the 3rd amongst defensive tackles. And he had a 16.9% win ratio, which led the league for defensive tackles. No player had more tackles for losses or no gains than Williams, which was 22. Then I got to jump over to Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons, to me, while statistically, Hayward had a better season statistically. If you want to talk about a player that was truly dominant in the middle of his team's defense, it's Jeffrey Simmons over at Tennessee. Had 12 sacks, 42 pressures, pressure rate of 14.8%, a pass win ratio of 19.8, first team All-Pro selection. Again, if we go to the venerable Pro Football Focus, had led the league for defensive tackles and passing grade, which was the highest of his career. I don't remember what it was because I evidently didn't write it down. Monster season. Then you got to go grab Ford. And I'm not talking Chevy. You got to go grab, what's his name? Poona Ford over at the Los Angeles Rams. They signed him in the offseason with hopes that he would add that punch in that middle of the line. And he did. Career highs in pressures and stops. His run stop rate was over 11, which was 7th among defensive tackles. If you go again for the venerable Pro Football Focus, because I had to get a Pro Football Focus account just so I can get some of these numbers, he had 78.6% run defensive grade, which was 5th at the position. He was a game changer. He was a game changer. And then you know what? You always talk about you need a running mate for Dexter Lawrence. Well, how about Sweet over in Tennessee? Sweet, of course, played alongside Simmons. He is a behemoth. He is a man-child. Excellent. He is only his 2nd season despite only playing in 12 games. He's explosive. Again, his Pro Football Focus defensive grade was 79.3, which is 4th among defensive tackles, and he improved his pressure rate towards the end of the season, which was the highest of his career. And then we go back to Kobe Turner. Kobe Turner, to me, has been a guy that has stepped up on that field for the Rams for years. Well, 2023. 50 total pressures in each of his 3 seasons, recorded a high 62 pressures, and we love pressures.
King of the almost sack.
Second amongst interior defensive linemen, he had 8 sacks. He's not only he not only works hard at rushing the pass, but he also works hard at stopping the run. You go to Baltimore, you got Travis Jones. Travis Jones, when he first came into the league, let's have some Black Rifle coffee. Travis Jones, when he first came into the league, was basically a guy that thought he could just stuff the run. But you know what? He developed his game. He is now probably becoming, not yet, but he's on route to becoming one of the best all-around defensive tackles in the league. He's developing his pass rushing skills. He registered a career-high 47 pressures and 6 sacks in 2025. You got the big kid over in Atlanta. You got the kid over in Houston. And then number 11 or 12 on my list already is
King of the almost sack.
Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams has turned into what Leonard Williams was supposed to be with the Jets and the Giants. Seattle traded for Leonard, of course, ahead of the 2023 trade deadline. Former first-round pick, one of the most impactful defenders that they have had on that defensive line. Monster season in 25. Career high 69 pressures. Tied with the second most in the league among interior defensive linemen. Had 9 sacks, tied for fourth most. And he is a guy who had 42 stops, fourth among defensive tackles. And he had a Pro Football Focus grade, run defensive grade of 71.6, which was 12th highest in the league. These are just, and like I said, I could continuously go down this list. And as I continuously go down this list that I put together, I'm not seeing Dexter Lawrence. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the grade since 2023. I'm not seeing a guy that is dominant. I'm not seeing a guy that has this je ne sais quoi, this presence. I'm seeing a guy with 22 solo tackles, which was ranked 60th among defensive tackles. His forced fumbles, he had 0. His stops, he had 16 run stops, which was 71st among the position. His hurries at 27 ranked him 35th at the position. His total pressures dropped him at 37 in reference to all defensive tackles. This is a guy that and now I love this. This is the best thing. This is what really got my goat about Dexter Lawrence. His total snap count. Dexter Lawrence played in 17 games this year. He had 754 total snaps, which among defensive tackles ranks 14th in the league, even though his solo tackles equals 60th in the league against the position. His run defensive snaps, he was 31st in the league. He had 272 run defensive snaps in the league, Dexter Lawrence, which was ranked 31st. His pass rush snaps was 482. Let's say that again. He had 482 pass rush snaps, which is 7th among the position. And what did he generate? No sack. I mean, 12 assists, 22 tackles, no forced fumbles. This is a guy that is supposed to be this stalwart. This is a guy that's supposed to lead the pack. He is supposed to be the leader of the pack. He is supposed to be our best defensive player, Leonard Williams. But if you take a look at where he associates with the Giants salary cap, and I know we don't, your weight in the NFL sometimes is equal to what you're getting paid, especially more towards not at the beginning of your career, but more towards the mid part of your career. Dexter Lawrence is number 1 in reference to cap space on this team. Dexter Lawrence's cap hit is $27 million, which is 9% of the cap space. You're paying this guy $27 million, eating up 9% of your cap space to not even potentially rank within the top 20 defensive tackles in the league. And he has not been suited for stopping the run since Dalvin Tomlinson. It makes 0 sense. 0 sense. Tim, is it true that you hired a quadriplegic amputee cornhole player to take out McLovin? He is MIA. I don't know where he is. I don't know. I don't check on people. Why don't you DM him? Why don't you go on X and DM him? I'll probably respond to you. Joe says the best spots to have gaping holes.
That's what she said.
Is the depth chart, is the pre-draft at guard and run stuffing defense lineman. Easiest 2 positions to find. Good ones in day 3 of the draft. No need to force an early pick. And I let Mr. Greg says it best. He has no fire or anger. We've heard before. We've heard many times before that, Dexter is lacking the anger. Dexter is lacking that enthusiasm, that je ne sais quoi. He's lacking that. You're getting paid. You're getting paid to be the number one defensive tackle in the league. You're getting paid. Chode Sports. I love it. Chode Sports. Where's your Giants? The guest could not make it today. And like I said before, I did not say who the guest was because we were trying to verify the guest. Well, we verified the guest. We've talked to him on FaceTime, so we know it's him. We know it's him. Sometimes you get emails and sometimes you get phone calls. Sometimes you get things and you're like, oh, who the fuck is this Pippo? No, we have verified this guest. They're in a different time zone. They're on the West Coast. So coming on at 7 o'clock their time was not an option. So we're going to probably have to try to do a stream. I'm thinking Tuesday at 4 because that would be 1 their time. So we're just trying to verify that. Big T Brad says, hello, good people. Hit that like button. But like I said, you are paying Dexter Lawrence to be the best defensive tackle in the league, and he's probably ranked 20th. And I had it in my top. I only went 17. I went 17 deep. Yeah, I know. Guests sleep in. Gary Reasons was funny the second time because, actually the first time, because when I talked to Gary the first time, I was laughing because he was like, and I told him, I said, well, we stream at 10 on Sundays, so if you can make it. And of course, he's in Central Time, so he's like, a.m. I'm like, yes, Gary, 10 a.m. He's like, well, I'm in what you call it time. I'm like, I know. I'm just letting you know what time it is. Let's just letting you know it's peanut butter jelly time. I'm trying to figure out, are you a Giant fan or a heckler? 1 down year, and he has to go. Unbelievable. Okay, Alonzo Moore. Talk to me about his big sack season. Talk to me about that. Because we're gonna talk about this. I'm not a hater, Alonzo, or heckler. You know what I am? I'm a realist. I'm a football person. I'm a person that just doesn't follow the name on the back. I like the logo on the front or on the logo on the helmet. I follow the whole team. His season, which was his big sack season, we're gonna talk to Alonzo for a moment because Alonzo needs some help. His big season, his sack season, his 9 sack season, he only had 23 combined tackles. And yes, I understand he only played in 12 games. He had 23 solo tackles and had 21 assists, which means, we've said this before, if you barely have more solos than assists, you are not leading the point of attack. He only had 16 quarterback hits, and his 9 sacks, the majority of them came from, wait for it, the defensive end position. How do I know this? Because you could go on the NFL and pull all the stats in regards to where players played positionally. Dexter Lawrence has not been a good player or a dominant player since 22, where he did play a legitimate nose tackle position. 23, he only had 50 tackles and 4 sacks and 7 tackles for a loss. Just because you see the name on the back and get all weak and weepy about it and you get your panties all wet, it doesn't mean he's having a good season. He hasn't had a truly dominant good season since 22, where he had 68 total tackles, 7.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 28 quarterback pressures. If you talk about his pressures and his hits, his quarterback hits, even going back to 22, he's less than in the top 20 of defensive linemen. His game in 21 and 22 was more rounded than just becoming a gentleman that sacks the quarterback from the defensive end position. If you think he was the best defensive lineman in the league in 24 before he got hurt, you're a fucking nut. Just because someone has 9 sacks and he had 1 forced fumble and only had 8 tackles for a loss, you're looking at the name on the back, my love, not the logo on the front. You're looking at the name on the back. And if you think Dexter Lawrence is worth almost $30 million and over 9% of your cap space on a team that is built, Joe says it best right here. Dex is built like a nose pack, but really does his best work on a 3-tech. The issue is he ages and will be explosive at the size to dominate as a 3-tech. No, you're right. You're right. Darius Alexander last year was more productive at times than Dexter Lawrence. Look at the name. Don't look at the name on the back, my friend. Darius Alexander had 20 combined tackles and 3.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 6 quarterback hits, and he only started in 2 games. He only also played in Darius Alexander only played in 38% of the defensive snap count. We read the numbers before for you. Dexter Lawrence, in reference to his position, was 6th in the league in total defensive snaps. And actually, a guy that's supposed to be our run stuffing tight end, he had more pass rushing defensive snaps than he did run snaps. I love when people are like, well, you just don't like him. No, I'm showing you the truth. If you want to not take the red pill, go right ahead. If you want to stay in Oz, that's fine. But these are the reasons why this team has been so crappy for so long, and this fan base has sucked at the teat of this team and shown nothing for it because of the fact that they are more inclusive to see the name on the back of the jersey than the logo on the helmet. So instead of doing what's best for the team, they want to do what's best for the player. And I can tell you right now, Dexter Lawrence will give 2 shits about you. I love the scene. What the fuck was in that movie? The Robert De Niro movie, whatever in the Bronx. Bronx Tale. I love the scene when they told Cologito, why are you crying for Mickey Mantle? Mickey Mantle doesn't care about you. Mickey Mantle's not going to pay your rent. And Cologito learned that lesson like at 8 or 9. Some of us are still trying to learn that lesson at 40. It's a team. This is a team sport. You do what's best for the team. And Dexter Lawrence's play over the last 2 years, if you take a look at it.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Let's read it again for him. Total snaps from the defensive tackle position. In fact, Dexter Lawrence, 14th in the league at 754. Total run defensive snaps, 272, which was 31st among starting defensive tackles. Pass rush snaps, 482, which was 7th among the defensive tackle position. Solo tackles for all defensive tackles in the league, he ranked 60th. Forced fumbles, he had 0, so he was tied for, but run stops, he was ranked 71st. Sacks, 105th. Hurries, 42nd. Total pressures, 39th. This is at just a defensive tackle position. Batted balls, he was 28th. So I'm going to pay this guy $30 fucking million to not be dominant. I am the biggest Giant proponent as you're hitting the like button. I am a guy that loves the Giants. I'm the guy that follows the Giants. Anyone that's been to my house will see memorabilia from 1976 Spurns thrown out all around my house. And I hate when fucking people come here and tell me I'm not a fan. You know what? Fuck you. Fuck you, Alonzo Moore. Just because I don't weep at the sight of a player. Of course, if you want, you can go get Gary's book, Gary Reasons, GaryReasons.com. Reasons to Believe. You know what I need? Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you just need to take a moment. You know where you take that moment at? You take a moment at FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com, number one sportsbook in America. Go download the sportsbook app right now. You want to know why? Because there's so many things going on the mighty FanDuel, especially with the big dance. Get $300 up to $300. I rephrase that. And bonus bets are it's called back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. You know what that means? You get $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. Use your bet reset token. I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's easy. It's simple. Sign up at FanDuel. After signing up for FanDuel, you will be awarded one bet reset token every day for 10 days. Your bet reset token may be used on any wager. How do you do it, Tim? Well, that makes it fucking easy. You select your wager. Toggle on your bet reset token. Place your bet. If you lose that bet, you will be refunded back in bonus bets. The maximum amount will be $300. Refunds will be credited within 72 hours of bet settlement. Refunds will issued on a non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires in 7 days after receipt. Bet reset tokens expires after 24 hours after you receive them, so make sure you go get it. Bets placed on bonus funds, site credits are not eligible. Neither are odd boost or cash out bets. You got baseball right now. You got, what do we got going on? You got baseball. You got the big dance. You got basketball. And you know we love FanDuel. FanDuel, they got the casino games. They got the sports book. I've said it before. One of my favorite games on there is the Huff and More Puff Mansion. New customers get up to $1,000 back in casino bonus on any first day net losses. That's, of course, on the casino games. And get up to, with, like I said, get new players, you get 500 bonus spins and get up to $1,000 back in casino bonuses. FanDuel just wants you to come in and try. FanDuel wants you to download that app. Go to the App Store and get it. That's FanDuel.com, the number one sports book in America. I'm nice to everybody, but don't say stupid shit. On the way, help is Darius Alexander. Oh, and Joe Ferry's about to double team. I'm going to get to that. Let's see here. We already got to that one. That was pretty fucking funny. Joe Ferry says the Cowboys nailed their defensive picks. Are the favorite? If the Cowboys nail their defensive picks, are they the favorite in the East? It depends on how sullen Pickens is. It depends on if Dak can repeat what he did last year. It depends on their running game. If they can figure out exactly how to play defense, they'll be better than last year. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know yet. I don't know. Guests sleeping in. I know guests are fucking crazy. I get calls from guests all the time, like, I'm gonna be there, and then I don't say anything. So I'm like, he's not gonna be there. Here's the problem. I can't lay off Dexter. Dexter's eating up 9% of my total cap space. Dexter Lawrence will be 29 this year. Dexter Lawrence is a guy that we are paying like he is the best defensive player, and he hasn't had a dominant season since 22. It's the same thing what Carl Banks said. Carl Banks wasn't being rude to Dexter Lawrence. Carl Banks just said, listen, the guy's not getting, and he's not getting the double teams anymore. And I love when Dexter was like,
watch the film.
Okay, you go back and watch the film. Yeah, you're not getting double teamed anymore, my brother. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to adjust your game when your game adjusts to you. And I don't want to hear, well, he's not motivated. He's being paid $30 million a year not to be motivated? Really? Because honestly, if someone tells me that's the case, that he is not motivated, I think that's even worse. Because if you're not motivated to play in the NFL, to play a child's game and make $30 million at doing it, that makes me feel even bad. That makes me feel even worse for you. Petro, what's up, my brother? No, Joe, the hair is not great today. Yes, I know. My wife even mentioned that on the side, and it's a little too high. I got up late. Like my guests, I got up late. Hopefully the missus isn't watching because she'll be like, see, I told you. And she would be right. I got a little lazy. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to see if she's watching. I'm not using a burner account. I'm texting my wife. That's never going to get old. It's never going to get old. So, let's see here. What? You were right. She just typed, what the F? You were right. I gave you all the credit in the world, my love. She nailed it. Oh no. She's like, what's going on? Where'd she go? Where'd it go? Oh, Joe Ferry's, my wife, said, whoa, the hair's not great today. The cowlick is brutal. You are better than that, Tim. I told Joe that you mentioned it as I was getting ready to come on the stream, that my hair was not looking right. You mentioned it, my love. You win. Q, I love this AJ. Q, he was injured excuse. And the wife just texts, I told you. Here, I'll just do this. How's this? We'll just go this side. Big T. What's Big T? Yeah, Big T. I know everyone wants to bet on that Final Four. I wonder where you can go. You can go to FanDuel.com, #1 sportsbook in America. I think if you get doubled, you're good. Even when there's no stats, you're impacting the game. But he didn't get doubled last year. That's the problem. There was no double teams for Dexter Lawrence last year. There was no additional pressure from Dexter Lawrence that made teams say, you know what, we need to put a second guy. We need to chip him. We need to roll the center and the guard. We need to do something to stop him because he's crushing the interior of the line. No. Petro says, I think he needs help from him. I know you're going to say Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald is the best defensive tackle to play. And again, outside of Dominic and Sue, name Aaron Donald's running mates. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams,
King of the almost sack,
have talked about being just as good or just like Aaron Donald. I loved it because years ago when Dexter was coming up from a contract, we spoke to someone that worked in his office, his agent's office, because he had a new agent. I knew someone there. And I did a video that said that Leonard Williams wants Aaron Donald money. And I did the video, and everyone told me I was nuts. That he never said that. He never brought that up. He never said any of that. He said I was nuts. Everyone said I was nuts. 2 days later, Dexter Lawrence's agent comes out and says, Leonard Williams' agent comes out and says, Leonard wants Aaron Donald money. You want to be Aaron Donald, you want to be paid like Aaron Donald, then you need to act like Aaron Donald. Coach Yo said it best. You want to be a superstar, you want to act like a superstar, then play like one. Called it. You're right. Mike Lee, what's up, Big Mike? You can be a fan of the Giants and be critical. It's okay. You don't have to be a rah-rah drinking the Kool-Aid fan. That's the problem with Giant fans now. That's really the problem. And we've been so putrid for so long that any success, you want me to say it? Last 3 years, he's probably been maybe the 15th best, 10th best defensive tackle in the league, and we're paying him like he's number one. Stats don't lie. Production doesn't lie. The only thing that lies is people affinity for the player, which puts on the rose-colored glasses. Joe, you know I testify. John says not having a good edge rusher during peak Dex was wasted in general malpractice. That was his main value to me. He opened up chances for others. The problem is he doesn't, if you want me to be honest. His best years and his best ability to be an all-around best player was with Dalvin Tomlinson. Dexter Lawrence needs, we've talked about this before with Daniel Jones needs weapons. Now it's Dexter Lawrence needs a running mate. If you're number one in the league at something, you don't need a running mate. If you are a very good player that can be a great player because you have someone good alongside of you, does that really make you a great player? Does that really make you that superstar that you need help? Peyton Manning carried bad outside of his rookie season, carried at times putrid Indianapolis Colts teams with no help. It wasn't until he started getting the Marvin Harrisons, the Edgerrin Jameses, that he started becoming even better. But he still did his job. Petro says Dexter, I'm pretty sure, was second most in double team percentages outside of Micah Parsons last year. He wasn't. Carl Banks pointed it out. Other people have pointed it out. If you go watch the majority of the film, Dexter Lawrence was not getting double teamed last year. And I love when Dexter Lawrence says, well, watch the tape. Well, people did. And you're not. And when you're not getting double teamed and you only have 22 solo tackles from the defensive line position, and I'm going to give you another great stat. 5.2. That's how many rushing yards the Giants have averaged giving up the last 4 seasons. Who's the constant player in the middle of the field during that run? Dexter Lawrence. In the playoff run, there was a game that both Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams went out. DJ Davidson, and I can't remember the second player, came in, and they averaged a yard less per carry for an extended period of time. What does that tell you? That DJ Davidson is better than Dexter Lawrence? No, of course not. But it kind of just shows there are different reasons for things. Why do I say it? The reasons. Oh, that's why. Joe says, guys realize it's not personal to him. It's an analyst base, and he sees and nothing more. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. That's why I love Joe. It's the Mongo and Joe show coming up. So we hear the complaints. What's your solution? Joe Ferries. This is why you're an astute fan, Joe Ferries. This is why I like you. What's the solution? Is Denard Wilson going to run a true 3-4? I don't know. I don't know exactly what Denard Wilson's going to run yet. Did he run more of a true 3-4 back in Tennessee for 2 seasons? Yes. But of course, in Tennessee, that didn't work out. Hold on, I'm texting the wife. No, I'm not. I'm using my Sock Muppet account. What am I doing there? Hold on. Okay, there we go. How are we going to fix this? How can we make this better? First thing you're going to do is you've already made your team a little bit better by getting Tremaine Edmonds. I'm still seeing Funky Town. We got the big Funky Town dropping in those OG memberships. Give a big shout out and a big thanks to the Funky Town. Thank you, Big Don. You're helping your defense right off immediately if you go and get your linebackers. That's the one thing you need to do. You need to go and get your linebackers. So if we get someone like Sonny Styles at 5, and you know what we're doing? We're doing a mock draft Monday morning at 10:15. I don't do mock drafts, but I'm doing a mock draft. 10:15, Monday morning, mock draft time. We're calling it. I'm not telling you what we're calling the episode, but we're calling it. We're doing the mock draft. Who is RCB Sports and Gaming? Oh, I love when people drop. Oh, Dan Wolf. Hey, Dan Wolf. I haven't seen you in a while. Are you in the chat? I love when he drops the super chats because I get to see who's hiding in the chat. Dan Wolf. I haven't seen Dan Wolf in a while. I don't remember if Dan Wolf hates me or not. I don't remember, but I like Dan. I remember I like Dan's comments. He might hate me. I don't know. But you're already improving your defense by going after getting your quality linebackers, because you're going to get those guys that flow into the second level. They're going to find their feng shui. But the problem is this. You should be having interior linemen who slow the running back, the quarterback, whomever's going up the middle, into the second level, which allows the smart interior linebackers or inside linebackers to flow to the ball carrier. That's what I look at. And I've said this before. There are a couple defensive tackles in this draft that I would like to take a look at. Maybe a little bit higher, and maybe guys that fit the system that we are going to be running. Guys that are technically sound and proficient to a point that Joe brought up. And this is a guy, a 3-technique defensive tackle who I like. Where is he going to end up? Could he be in the bottom of the first round? Could he be in the top of the second round? I'm not sure yet. But I like Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. I like Lee Hunter quite extensively. This is a guy that wins at the point of attack if you watched him. He is, you know what he's like? If you're on a cruise ship and you want a natural anchor and not have anything move, that's this kid. He is a natural anchor to the middle of your defense. Thick, powerful, big ass wingspan of his wingspan's like 6'10". He is built to clog the interior of the defense and help people slow down in the next level. And you know what I love about him? If you go watch his film, because you know what I love about this guy? If you watch him when he comes out of his stance, he fires low out of his stance. He's not a guy that gets held up high. One of the worst things that you can do when you're trying to prevent people from gaining ground is to get out of your stance, come up too high, and get pushed back. He is a guy that comes in low. He is a guy that generates a push, and he's a bull rusher. He will drive guards or centers into the quarterback. Raw power. The dude has got raw fucking power. And he's got 3 years of experience. 51 games. Now, weaknesses, issues. I don't even call them that, because I know I'm not. I know. What's up, Slider? I know I'm not hit. Make sure you're hitting the like. I don't like calling things weaknesses or anymore, because then people get upset. They're like, "Oh my God, you're being so mean." He's a guy that gets a little fatigued. I think that's more of a conditioning issue. And you go into the NFL, you're going to work with the guys that are going to teach you to be conditioned. Now, some people will say that he lacks lateral speed or quickness, which kind of limits his pursuit. But here's the thing. I don't need him. I need him to collapse the pocket. I don't need him to be chasing. He's playing in the interior line. One scout was right. Well, he has problems and an inability to stop the quarterback. Yeah, that's Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter, the nose tackle. I don't need him to chase down the fucking quarterback. His job, in my mind, is to be the anchor of a 3-4 defense, is to be the Jim Burt, is to be the Eric Howard. Hell, it's to be the Jerome Salley. I also watched him because he was at UCF. We have UCF alums. So I watched him because he was at UCF as well. But I need this guy. He can contribute immediately and early, especially in early downs. If you put him in early downs, he's a 0 or 1 technique guy who's going to eat blocks. And you know what he's going to do? This is what he needs to do. And this is what the interior line, portion of our line does not do. He's going to keep the linebackers clean. He's going to keep the guy. He's going to give the ability of your linebackers, your Sonny Styles, your Micah McFadden, your Tremaine Edmonds, to flow to the ball. unencumbered. He'll probably be a rotational piece early because he's going to get conditioned. He's going to need to learn the league. He's going to be an early down run stuffer. He's probably going to be 15. I'd say 20 to 30 snaps early on. And this is a guy that we always say, you know what? This is a guy that's got deep tape. This is a guy that if you take a look at it, he's got that ability. Is he a second round pick? He might be. He is. If you're looking at a guy that is going to be proficient, I would say he's probably a mid second round or early third. But he is going to be a guy, if you take a look at his position, plays a vital component in the Giants defense, plays a position, not only a position of need, but a position that, like I said it before, if you take a look at it, he has the ability to keep your linebackers clean. And what I mean, where's James Williams? James Williams is probably James works, so he's probably sleeping. So we're gonna leave James alone. But he has the ability to keep guys clean. Now, if we're also looking, I've already talked about it before. I'm not going to get into Caleb Banks. We talked about Caleb Banks the other day. We did that already. The other guy I love, and the problem is, once again, if you got yourself your starting quarterback, with the third round pick, I'm fine with that. But I think this guy's going to go anywhere between 3 and 5. It's Tim Keenan III, the big man, 6'1", 327 pounds, out of Alabama, the Crimson Tide. This is a guy, excellent run defender, holds his ground, controls his gap consistently. We did a whole thing about gap and assignments the other day, a couple weeks back. How the Giants just don't, and we literally broke down the gap assignments and the issues that the Giants had. This is a guy that's best at a one technique nose tackle or an odd front, which would be 3, 2 gap and interior lineman system. This is a kid that is big. This is a guy that is strong. This is a guy with strong hands. This is a guy that can effectively absorb double teams. We're talking about Tim Keenan III out of Alabama. This is a guy that is this. You know, it's funny, and this is why I like them, because you could probably grab him in the 4th or 5th. I would think maybe the 4th. That's why we're going to do a mock draft tomorrow at 10 o'clock, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's reliable in his gap discipline. This is the one thing, if you watch game film, not highlights, game film, he stays within his responsibilities. He doesn't wander. He doesn't chase. He stays with what he's supposed to do, and he stays within the defensive structure. This was a kid that was 380 pounds when he first came to the Crimson Tide. He's down to 327. I would actually like to see him back up around 340. But if you go from 380 to 327, that shows you a commitment. I don't care about the short arms. I don't care about the T-Rex arms. That's Justin Pugh. This is a guy that I need to clog the center of the line. And I know people are going to say, he's got short arms. Blockers can get into his chest. They can grab him by the tits. But when you have the strength, when you have the hands, when you have good timing and understand your responsibility, I don't need him to be a pass rusher. And a lot of times when you're going in through that, you know what happens? Oh, they do need to cut you on that. You're right. This is a guy that may not be the most athletic. His testing in reference to his athleticism was not off the charts. This is a guy that's not going to be that high volume win percentage pass rusher. But you know what? You can't have 50 pass rushers on a team without having somebody to do the dirty work. Don't forget to hit the like. You're going to play him, like I said, you're going to play him on early downs. This is another guy you're going to play on early downs. He's going to be a reliable presence. He's going to help you get people into 3rd and 7. We're not going to keep playing from 3rd and short. And like I said, if you grab Tim Keenan in the 4th, I'm okay with that. I heard a Syracuse player. We got the funky town. I love you, Don. That's my brother. Did I hear a Syracuse player? No, we're not going to talk about a Syracuse player. Why would we have a Syracuse player on this team, Funky Town? Funky Town, of course, is the huge Syracuse fan. Really, I don't know unless there's a defensive tackle out of Syracuse you want to come on and talk about. I don't even have a defensive tackle on my list from Syracuse. You know what? You know who I also love? But his height. We talked about Harris. We talked about Harris at Ole Miss. We talked about Harris at Ole Miss, I think a week ago. He's 6'8", 300 pounds. This is a guy that will probably be in the 5th round as well. This is a guy at 6'8", and you want to talk about Keenan, who's got the T-Rex arms. This guy's got long arms. I love it. You know, they always have that expression, the legs that go up forever. These are the arms that go out forever. He uses his frame, and offensive linemen simply just can't get around him. It's not an easy job. It's like if you want to go to Arkansas, you can't go straight. You got to go left. His run defense, I'm not going to say was suspect. Matt Pert has long arms too. Justin Pugh. Oh, we did talk about Justin Pugh from Syracuse. That's right. Justin Pugh from Syracuse. I love Justin Pugh from Syracuse. He just never wants to come on the show. I never invited him, but that's not an excuse for not wanting to come on the show. This is a guy with those long arms. This is a guy who his run defense was suspect when he first came in to college football, who has gotten increasingly more adept at playing the run his final 2 seasons. His biggest issues was he was sticking to his blockers too long. But now he holds the gap with authority. And I loved it before because we talked about other players. This is a 0 technique guy. He could be a 3 technique guy. He could be a 5 technique guy. He gives you coordinators multiple roles in multiple places. Put him, but I want to put him in the middle. People are going to say, you know what, Tim, you need to use him for the swim. How about Joe Morris? You need to use him on that swim move. Because of those long arms, he's going to power and swoop under. He's going to use the swim. It would be a legitimate weapon if you want to put him on the outside. But he is a guy that, like I said, has grown from year to year. Again, he's a guy that people talk about. He lacks long lateral movement, but I don't need him to, at 300 pounds. I don't need him to be 330 pounds. I just need him to sit in the middle of the fucking field. Work your assignment. Now, there is an issue. He has all the talent in the world, but he's a fucking knucklehead. Arrested twice for DUI and felony fleeing in 2023. Domestic violence charge with an obstruction charge in 24. You're going to have to vet the shit out of this kid. This is a kid that probably has a 2nd round grade that you're probably not going to take until the 5th round because of the fact there are off-field concerns that kind of make him a fucking knucklehead. We are just going to just say yes. First round talent. You know, we've said it before. It's the new Will Allen. Didn't Will Allen play at Syracuse? It's the Nuke Lelouch. $1 million arm, 5-cent head. How many? Okay, we're gonna do how many Syracuse players can we name to play for the Giants? Will Allen did play. Yeah, Will Allen was from Syracuse. I had to think about that for a second. It's hard to think of Syracuse players that are playing for the Giants. Oh, I got one right off the bat that no one talks about because of the miracle of the Meadowlands. Larry Zonka. Larry Zonka went to Syracuse. Don, you're supposed to drop in the super chat for every Syracuse mention for the kids. Drop it in. But like I said, there are 3 guys right there that you can go get that can fill the 3-4 position. And if you want to put Dexter Lawrence maybe more, do an all. That's a great one. I love it. I got to get back to the chat, top of the chat, but I love this one. Do an all knucklehead mock draft. There are a couple players, as you're hitting the like button, there are a couple players right now that I would say were, there was a couple players. You know what, AJ, that's actually a great point. There are some guys that we mentioned right now that are knuckleheads. And there's nothing like Cam Scatterbo was a knucklehead, but he's a fun knucklehead, but his funness is going to wear off if he doesn't produce. Some of these guys are just knuckleheads in general. There's got to be a way. Maybe there's a system out there. Maybe there's a way to do something. Maybe there's a way to, to find the best candidates, because you know what, right now it's college basketball season. It's the tournament. It's the big dance. And we just had the Sweet 16. We just had Syracuse not Syracuse. I'm thinking Syracuse. We had St. John's get jobbed. Well, they didn't really. But you know what? You got the top teams facing off each other. We're going to get down to the final 2. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be upsets. It's anyone's game. Well, regardless of who makes it to the final rounds, one thing's for certain. It takes the most talented people in the building to have these incredible teams. The same goes when you're hiring. If you want your business to go to the top of its game, you need the best people on your team. The best place to find them, you know it, ZipRecruiter. And now try it for free, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. I'm going to say it again. Try it for free, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. There's so many things we love about ZipRecruiter. One of the things we love about ZipRecruiter is what I like to refer to as Skynet. Their smart matching technology immediately finds your qualified candidates that checks all your boxes. And you know what ZipRecruiter can do for you if you're not so astute at looking at talent or finding the correct talent? ZipRecruiter can recommend screening questions so you can easily get the highest qualified candidates. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 hiring site based on G2. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Don't we wish Joe Shane could go out and use the Zip? We've always hoped that Joe Shane can use the Zip. It is the mighty ZipRecruiter. They're back. Guess who's back? Back again. Zip is back. We love ZipRecruiter. All right, let's jump back up into the chat. I don't know where James Williams is. Mason Taylor. We want to talk about Mason Taylor from the Sooners. Do we want to talk about Mason Taylor? I know I did something on Mason Taylor. Did I do something on Mason Taylor? I don't remember. I know I You know what? I thought I did something on Mason Taylor. Hold on. Did I? I thought I did. Did I or did I not? Should I stay? I don't think I did. I thought someone also mentioned Mason Taylor. Someone mentioned Mason Taylor the other day. And I don't have it. Maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I didn't do anything on Mason Taylor. I thought I did. No, I guess I didn't. Did I not? No, I didn't do anything on Mason Taylor. Sorry about that. We got the funky town. Let's see here. I'm higher on Dex than Tim is, and I believe he will turn around this year. Suck up. And it will be surrounded by enough talent to eliminate excuse. If he does not play up to his pay, he'll be gone in the offseason. He's going to be 29, Joe, in this season. He's going to be 29 years old. We are looking at a guy that if you look from and Joe, you are a former sportscaster. You were a former radio host, or maybe you were, I forget. Are you a radio host now? You are a guy that gets it. At 30 years old, do you think, Joe, come on. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Joe, come on. Oh, God, I don't remember how to do this. I got monkey puppets, but I don't remember how to do this. Link in the chat. Post. Joe, come on. I want to talk to you. I want to talk about you, Joe, because you're astute. You're an astute guy. You're an astute guy, Joe. I want to talk to you a minute. And here's my, no, I'm not, I want to ask Joe a question. I want to ask Joe Spano a question. Spano on sports. I want to ask you one question. I actually saw one of your spots on Picks a couple years back, Channel 11. I remembered it. It was after a giant loss. I don't remember the totality of it, but I do remember it. And I think it was after a really bad giant loss. But I do remember Spano on sports. But I want to ask you a question, Joe. I have a not even a hypothetical question. Click on the link, Joe. Joe Ferries is telling you to do it. Let's go. Mike and Scotty Shaq had Kobe, Magic had Kareem. Oh, that's one of the dumbest comments ever. How many rings did Scotty win without Michael? When Michael retired, what happened during the big moment? No, James Stein, I'm waiting for Joe to come on first. Then I will bring on other guests. Okay, so log back in and log back out. I want to bring Joe on here. Joe, well, let's see here. Joe, Joe, where'd you go? Joe, there you go, Joe. Joe Spano on sports.
What's cooking, Tim, baby?
I saw a spot you did years ago after a giant loss. I think it was on Picks. I think it was on Channel 11.
Yes.
Very dapper, very astute. And I know you have, and I know you can take it. I know you understand it because I'm not picking on people. Yeah, sometimes I do. I'm not lying. Sometimes I do. But you understand football from the time that I've talked to you on the air, off the air, you know, the one time you came on before, you get football. My question for you is Dexter Lawrence. I'm not totally down on Dexter Lawrence. I'm totally down on a guy making $30 million, 9% of my cap space, who's not even in the top 17 of players at his position. Now, my question to you is, you had mentioned that when you had said in your comment that that you were higher on Dexter than I am, but you know you want to see what he can do this year. My question to you is this, Joe. He's going to be 29 in season, I believe, in November. Is Dexter Lawrence going to two-part question? Is he going to move the win-loss total with his play this year? And B, is Dexter Lawrence still going to be on this team when the Giants are actually good again?
Well, as far as moving the win total, I don't think he does. It's been pretty well established that the presence of Dexter Lawrence doesn't move the win total. We've seen that for several years. He's been whatever level of good or great you want to give him credit for, it hasn't equaled any wins. So, in and of himself, does he move the win total? Absolutely not. It's unequivocally been proven that that's not the case, that he won't move the win total. What I think he can do, surrounded by the right people, probably kick back out to the 3 technique, because one thing about great pass rushing defensive linemen is they lack discipline. You talked about it before. Run stuffers are disciplined. They clog lanes. They tie up blockers, free linebackers to scrape and make tackles. Pass rushers are undisciplined. They go wherever they want, free up all kinds of running lanes, don't keep gap integrity in their effort to get to the quarterback. Right. Kick him back out to the 3 technique where he plays his best ball.
Okay, well, I just want to stop you real quick here, because some people, when we talk about 3 technique, we talk about some other things. Some other people don't understand. The 3 technique basically is where the player lines up on the outside shoulder of the offensive guard, usually in the B gap. Is what defense is the 3 technique primarily used in?
It's primarily used in a 3-4.
No, it's primarily used in a 4-3.
Okay, correct. All right.
So we need to then, our $30 million man, 9% of my cap space, I need to go out and find him a running mate so he can be more comfortable at his position. And I need to use draft assets to bring in a guy that's going to be the run stuffer so Dexter Lawrence can get his 9 sacks and maybe 20 solo tackles.
There's no question. You're going to have to go most likely in day 3. Because I think we have enough holes that I don't want to have to force a day 1 or day 2 pick on a 2-down football player. And if you look at this draft, there's and every draft, there's a load of these 2-down football players that can instantly contribute. And you're going to have to put somebody inside. Now, again, there's any number of guys. We covered them in the chat, from Keenan, as you mentioned, Lee Hunter, who I think will drop a little bit compared to what we're seeing in all these mocks because he's a 2-down football player with poor athletic testing.
Well, a lot of the guys that I had mentioned are 2-down players.
Right. Chris McClellan out of Missouri is another one. DeMonte Capehart, maybe the best run defender in this draft. Guy you'll get in day 3 because he just doesn't do anything in the passing game and has no plan. And the list goes on, and I could list guys all day. So I think you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to kick Dex, and what's going to be the realities are it's going to be a hybrid defense. I'm convinced that you're going to see a lot of 2 defensive linemen with the 2 edge guys masquerading as defensive linemen, only 2 linebackers, a lot of safeties, and to hide the fact that our corners aren't very good, you'll probably only see 2 of them on the field a lot. And I think that's what we're going to run with for the most part.
Now the question, though, with the 3 technique, and this is the thing I think people need to understand. One of the, if in regards to when you look at this is kind of where I'm getting at. A 3 technique is more of your players need to be, I'm trying to put it the best way, they need to be more athletic. They need to be quicker. They usually, when you have a 3 technique nose tackle, he's usually sometimes a thinner guy. Sometimes a guy that's going to be, guy that's going to rush the passer. If you think of prototypical guys that worked in the 3 technique, and I go this before, and a good example because I always bring up Aaron Donald. That's kind of what they did his big years when he had Ndamukong Suh and Geno Atkins. Going back some years, but when they ran that 3 technique over with the Rams, Aaron Donald, that probably was not one of his most dominant seasons, but we're looking at a guy that, like I said, that I'm going to pay like he is the best nose tackle or defensive tackle in the league. But people, not just you, but other people are telling me, well, we have to go out and get him a running mate. Then why am I giving this guy $30 million? We've said it before, outside of Ndamukong Suh, outside of Geno Atkins. Who were the players that were playing alongside the interior line of Aaron Donald?
You make a fair point here, and the case could be made. This is why I know I need run stuffing help. I'm going to go out and get it in day 3 of this draft. It just has to be. Maybe I'll bring in some of these cheap free agents after the draft so they don't affect the comp formula and I don't have to sacrifice any of my 2027 cap. But one thing I'm not doing, and I think you'll be okay with me here, I'm not giving the Dex any new money. I'm not giving him any guaranteed money. I'm not giving him any length. He's got no guaranteed money left. If I'm not in love with the results I get when I craft the defense around him and some of these other pieces, well, maybe at the deadline I move him to a team that's desperate, because there's always teams at the deadline that are desperate. I need something. I can get something out of him. Or I move him in the offseason and move on. Even if you don't get the kind of draft assets that you may think you want, just getting off of that money, that addition by subtraction alone, because the Giants' cap space for 2027 is not great. That $100 million, as you've mentioned many times, is long gone. They got they got about 30 players under contract for next season, and they got about $40 million to spend. So they're going to have to get creative again in the off season of 2026 going into 2027. So getting off of Dex might be addition by subtraction, regardless of what they get within reason.
And here's like I said, here's my question again. At 30 years old, he'll be 30 years old in 27. He'll be 26 million against the cap. Yes, if they move on or even just release him, it's only 6.9 million in dead cap space. So it's not a tremendous I mean, it's not like we're cutting Tua, and losing 90 million over 2 years. So it's a bearable number. But here's the question I keep asking. The Giant team has been bad for so long. We've had one good season in like 11 years. And I'm saying this, and you said it before, and this is why I keep saying sometimes you need to take a step back, which we did the last 2 years. I think we're going to take a step forward. But my problem is this over and over again. I'm paying a guy $30 million that I need to get help for, that doesn't move the win total, who has been sullen at best at times. He's been very Rod Tidwell-esque. And I'm hoping that this guy can play for Denard Wilson in a system that, if you look at Denard Wilson's history, even going back to Tennessee, does not really fully fit the skill set of Dexter Lawrence as an interior lineman. So my question's always going to be, we all hope that the Giants are better this year. We hope they're better in 27. I said it when the Daniel Jones contract was signed, that the Giants would not be relevant again until 27 if they got their quarterback in 2005, which we hope they did, which we hope we did. And my question is going to be over and over again. If Dexter Lawrence is not adding to the win total, if he's not a long-term portion of this team after potentially this year, why can't I move him for assets now when his value is high enough, when he is not going to be part of the long-term future?
There's no reason why you can't. Honestly, I'm not pushing it right now, like I probably am trying to get something for Kayvon, but I'm always listening to the phone call. And if the right price is paid, absolutely, I don't think there's any question you can move. When you look in some ways, and I put it in the chat, and sometimes the chat moves fast and we're going back and forth. But if you look at Dex, he's the quintessential New York Giant. It's like being the quintessential Washington Wizard. And what happens is Dex has gotten used to losing.
He's Gilbert Arenas?
Yes, he's good at losing. He's content with it on a level. I'm not saying he's as happy to lose as he is to win, but on some level, this is a guy content with losing. I guarantee you he's not going home after yet another Giant loss and wrecking the family room like I believe Brian Burns might still be doing. He's perfectly happy. He went to the bank. He went to the computer, checked the bank balance on Monday. So, no, we're okay. So here's a guy who's been around losing for too long. You could make the case is content with losing. I'm willing to give him a chance to see if there's the reinvigoration in John Harbaugh we trust, but you make a fair point. If the right offer comes along and somebody rings, and I'm not going to say Joe Shane's phone, I'll say John Harbaugh's phone, and says, hey, I'm a interior defensive lineman away from winning a Super Bowl, and I'd like to pay you a very good price for Dexter Lawrence. I'm listening, and I'm probably saying yes. I free up money. I add draft assets to a team that maybe not this year has a ton of holes all over its too deep depth chart, but we did a lot of one-year work. Next year, we got to go right back to work, and we're going to have a lot of holes. So your point is very well taken. Long answer to a short question. And we should be opening to listening to moving on from Dexter because he's gotten used to losing. Maybe we're in a defense that's not ideally suited for him. We're asking a guy who's getting older, not getting lighter, to retain his explosiveness, to go try and play at a position where he does his best work, which is further away from the center. So
But wait a minute.
hoping for a lot that may not actually happen.
We're hoping for a lot. And I want to thank Mr. Locke for the super sticker because I love super stickers. Everybody know that. And the super stickers. And I also want to thank Big Dom for dropping in the Syracuse name super chats because all super chats and all super stickers go to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Everyone talks about, Joe, that the reinvigoration of potentially Dexter Lawrence under John Harbaugh. And I like to bring this up because if you go back into the 18 years of John Harbaugh, if you take a look at his defensive tackles, they all have something in common. Sam Adams, Greg Kelly, Brandon Williams. I can't think of the guy that's name starts with the name. What's Hanagi? I can never remember his name. He was considered one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Outside of Trevor Pryce, those four guys that I mentioned all have something in common, even going back to Tony Siragusa. What is the one thing that those four guys have in common that Dexter Lawrence does not have?
Superlative run stuffers.
There you go.
And he's not. Let's be clear. Dex is not a superlative run stuffer as a nose.
The 18 years of John Harbaugh. 18 years. And you can even look at the kid Greg, Kelly Gregg. He was another guy. They all have the ability to anchor the line. They all have the ability to be premier elite run stop. And these are guys that all started under John Harbaugh. So that's when people say there's going to be a reinvigoration. If you take a look at the guys, the hard-nosed defensive tackles, run-stuffing tackles that played under John Harbaugh, a lot of those, all those guys have one thing in common. They could stop the run and played a lot of snaps. Dexter plays like 76% of the snaps, 72% of the snaps. These are guys that would play 88, 90% of the snaps. So how does he truly fit into a reinvigorated John Harbaugh defense?
He may not. The realities are he may not. And and the front office, forget about we, because we don't mean anything. That's something fans fail to realize. The organization, an organization run by John Harbaugh is not making decisions based on what we like.
Of course.
They make decisions based on what they like.
Of course.
So realizing that the organization has to at least be open, and I'm sure John and his people are smart enough. Hey, if this isn't going to come together and the price is right, we're going to be open to moving off this guy. That phone is on. They're picking up the phone and they're listening to everything, because there's very few people in this giant organization, based on the performance of this team over the last decade and the construction of this roster, that if you get a phone call and somebody wants to trade for him, that you're not moving off of if the price is right. And Dex is one of those guys.
Winston, he didn't inherit Sam Adams or Siragusa. Harbaugh didn't take over until what, 2008? Was it? So Siragusa retired, I believe, in 2001. And Siragusa and Sam Adams retired both the same year, and I think it was 2001. So he didn't. John Harbaugh didn't inherit those guys. That's why I did not include them in the Big Four. I mentioned them, but I didn't include them in the Big Four. So
I definitely think, Tim, to kind of circle back around and weigh in on and kind of bring this full circle. Your idea of considering trading Dexter Lawrence is not the preposterous idea that many hardcore Giants fans and content creators would have you believe. You know, when you lay it out as you do, it's definitely something that has to be looked at for the long-term betterment of this team, because there's nothing that the Giants can do from now until the start of the NFL season that is going to make them a contender for a Super Bowl in 2026, short of cutting off half the league and sending them adrift. It's just not happening.
Mr. Locke, wait, hold on. I got to get to Mr. Locke. The Giants have not really played a true 3-4 defense. Shane Bowen's defensive scheme was a hybrid 4-3-3-4. And if you watched his last 2 years and his years in Tennessee, he liked to generate a rush, which he tried early in the Giants with a 4-man defensive front.
Mm-hmm.
So we did not play a 3-4. We have not played a true hybrid 3-4 style defense since Patrick Graham. And a lot of that, to Joe's point, wasn't a 3-4. We sometimes had 2 defensive linemen, brought in we had the 2 in the box safeties in reference to Logan Ryan and Peppers. So we really haven't played a true 3. If you want to say it, we have not played a true dominant 3-4 since 90. And that was our last Super Bowl, and 86, because those were the true dominant 3-4 defense, especially going back to 86, where you had the likes of Leonard Marshall, Jim Burt, and George Martin, along with Taylor, Carson Banks, and Reasons. That was then our true 3-4 style defense, which I just wanted to get to that.
No, great point. And again, I don't think you see true anything these days. You see a lot of hybrid stuff. A lot of big nickel, a lot of 2 defensive linemen, a lot of 1 to 2 inside backers. Your edge defenders play a lot of D-line and have to try and do a decent job of setting the edge, and people forget about that. I think that's what we're going to see here. I think you see a lot of hybrid stuff.
You know who didn't forget about that?
No, who?
Gary Reasons.
There you go.
Reasons to Believe. Go right now. Amazon. Go get it. I still think it's $1.49 for the Kindle version. Go help Gary out, guys. And also go, if you already purchased the book, please go and leave a review for Gary. That's Reasons to Believe. I finished it. It's a good read. I like I said before, I'm one of these people that has a very short attention span. So if it's like 130 pages, I was like, I could read that. And I read it. I read it within a day. And I use the Y over E over S. So make sure you go out and help Big Gary. Joe, I'm going to ask you a question right now.
Fire it up.
Someone comes to you. We're not going to say what team. Someone comes to you and say, listen, before the draft, you give me Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to give you a 3 and a 5.
You got I'll be honest. You're taking that money off my cap. You're giving me draft assets in a draft. I need a 3. It's a draft that, while it's not deep at the top, it's deep in talent in day 2 and day 3 and beyond, even UDFA guys at positions where I have long-term needs. So you've got my attention, to be sure.
You're getting $14 million back in cap space.
Right.
You are going to get a 3rd rounder and a 5th rounder. And to your point, and we had Ryan Roberts on from A to Z Sports, who is their draft expert, came on, and I agree with him 100%. This is not a great talent-laden draft. This is not a generational talent draft. Next year is going to be a great draft. The NBA, this year coming up for the NBA, is a phenomenal draft.
Correct.
This is not a great draft. But positionally, where the Giants need help, this is a very good draft. So they can grab guys in, well, not now, we don't have a 3rd round pick, but you could grab guys in rounds 3, 4, and 5, and 6 and find players who could start at the defensive line position.
So you've got my attention, to be sure.
But that's the thing. If I would have said that to you, now here's where the question's going to tie in. If I would have said that to you 2 years ago, what would you have said to me?
I'd have hung up the phone on you.
You would have hung up the phone on me. But here's the question I have. Watch this. I'm good. 2 years ago, was Dexter Lawrence at the height of his career?
The perception from the outside, to a great degree, yes. Maybe if I'm sitting there and I'm really, really studying, maybe I'm not hanging up the phone. But the realities are even my perception, and I'm somebody who watches every Giant game, Giant fan, my perception of, and I'm just going back and thinking of my perception of Dexter 2 years ago, looking at it at that moment, was that he was at the top of his game. But looking back now, again, these are all fair points. He's a player who, his nickname is appropriate, Sexy Dex. He does some sexy things. But when you sometimes dig deeper, what he does doesn't necessarily help you win. And that's the name of the game, isn't it? Helping you win.
Lester says this best. Excellent point. Being around losing too long fits him to a T. This is what I I understand what I understand 100% what Lester's saying, that sometimes we joked about Gilbert Arenas over with then was, I guess it was still the Washington Wizards. It wasn't the Bullets. You had players that only know losing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they start fitting into that culture. Sometimes you refer to them as paycheck players that come in, make their money, make their big salary, put in effort, but don't put in the total amount of effort it takes to be the best in the league at something. Has Dexter Lawrence Carl Banks alluded to the fact that Dexter's not getting the double teams. He's not getting the respect that he may have gotten 2 years ago. You can easily watch the film. Is that on Dexter, or is that on the situation that he has been in for so long? Because I have an answer to that. My answer, but I want to ask Joe that question.
Well, again, the case can be made either way. It's something I think, because the realities are, I think he's going to end up being here this year. And I think that answer will become readily apparent. The case can be made either way. And again, to your point, for Carl to say what he says, because let's be fair, I love Carl Banks. I'm a Giant fan. I love his work on the broadcast. He's an employee of the team, and he does tread lightly at times. So for him to call out Dexter or challenge Dexter's performance the way it has should ring volumes and tell you, without telling you, what he really thinks of Dexter's performance.
I personally think that, when Carl came on the show the second time, that it was his appearance here that led him to be the more astute analyst and start going after players. Because then he started going after players after he came on here the second time. He was a little depressed. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Would you agree that Carl can be a little tepid, and for him to call out Dexter the way he did should ring volumes about Dexter's performance?
No, I agree. Listen, I made a which we talked about before, because Carl Banks actually brought it up on the first appearance, that I made a comment that Carl a few years back would say something that was very astute, like the one play where the Giants lost, and he came out and said on the air that the Giants are officially broken. This is officially a broken team. And then he kind of walked it back a little bit after the rebroadcast. And I remember we talked about it on the stream, because he even mentioned, he goes, well, somebody said that I said this, and then I walked it back. And then people can go back, because my hand started slowly doing this, because I was the guy that said it. And he kind of, he kind of said that, I didn't really walk it back. I just kind of I reframed it. But with the Dexter Lawrence comment, I was very impressed, especially for someone that covers the team, that he never backed down from the comment. He expanded on the comment, Carl Banks did. He gave more detailed information and analysis on the comment. And I love the fact when people are like, well, have you talked to Dexter Lawrence about this? And he's like, no, I'm not a coach. I don't work for the team. I have no reason to go to Dexter Lawrence and give him my thought process of what I'm watching on the film. And I think that's where we've seen kind of a change in Carl over the last couple of years, to the point that he's really making these opinions. And I'm not saying he's reframing it, but he is then coming back with more astute analysis and more information, which I think some Giant fans love, because I love it. And I know some Giant fans don't, because they're like, well, you're picking on Carl's picking on Dexter. No, he's pointing out the fact that Dexter isn't the guy Dexter was 2 years ago. And,
right. And I think we can all agree with that. Now, I'm going to address this. Joe Ferry's in the chat. I'm not shutting down Tim's hot takes. Tim doesn't do hot takes. Hot takes, that's a sports talk radio thing where a bunch of guys with nothing to say I'm going to put something outlandish out there.
Joe's just being a dick.
And I'm going to throw open the phone lines at 877-337-6666, and they line up phone calls for 4 hours, and they get people who agree and people who disagree.
Exactly.
I've learned a long time ago, when you're doing this kind of stuff, it's as much as everybody likes to say, well, you're either here or you're here, meaning you're on one end or the other. It's absolutely not the case here. This is two guys who kind of see this the same way, trying to figure out where this is headed. Now, the obvious missing ingredient is neither Tim nor I know what the people in the building that make the decisions actually think of Dexter Lawrence. If I knew unequivocally John Harbaugh thought that there was no way he could fix this guy, I'd be very confident that that call for a 3-5 came, he would take it immediately. If I had a belief that the people in the building thought they could get Dex back to something where they thought he was worth keeping, then I'd say he's definitely going to be here for this year. Or at the very least, in order to get me to go on that 3-5 deal, you're going to have to come back to me and give me something in the mid rounds from that 2027 draft, because I want as much draft capital as I can get. Maybe I'm making a counter. You say 3-5 in 26. I say 3-5 in 26, or maybe 3-6 in 26, or pick swap type deal. But I want something from that loaded 2027 draft if I'm going to move on from Dexter, if you want him so bad.
Well, first of all, Joe Ferris. I love Joe Ferris. And Joe Ferris is just being Joe Ferris.
I love everybody until you give me a reason not to. I just thought I'd point that out.
Joe Ferris is my guy. Joe keeps me honest. Joe is like I said, Joe sometimes is, I love Joe because Joe is sometimes an ass, which literally makes me laugh because I'm an ass.
If you can't piss people off once in a while, you ain't doing this right.
I do it all day long. We got a two-toe super chat. Massive respect to two Big Tim, New York Giants media legend. How you doing, mate? Greetings from me and all the family in Princeton, Jersey. Cheers, mate. I was just in Princeton not too long ago. I was just over at Winberry's, Tuto. And I love Winberry's. Winberry's, I spent as someone that knows a lot of people, because I grew up in Trenton, so I know Princeton extremely. I know Princeton extremely well. But there was a comment I wanted to get to. But thank you, Tuto. Tuto, I haven't seen you in a while. How's the rugby guys going over? Tuto, how are we doing there? Let me see here. The other question is where's that? Oh, here we go. Banks is great as an analyst, as we need more players who play like him with his fire. And this is where I'm getting, because there was two comments. I saw that one and I saw this one. With a bad elbow, no long arm reach to tackle. Here's my problem with this, Mr. Locke. Dexter Lawrence came out and said the tackle's not the elbow wasn't bothering him. And I've said this before as a former player. You can't say the elbow doesn't bother me, not hurting at all. But then all of a sudden, when your play deteriorates, go, well, the elbow hurts a little bit. Doctor, it hurts when I go like this. And the doctor said, well, don't do that. But it's one of those things that you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me you're healthy, because if you were, people would be hitting the like button a lot more. You can't tell me you're healthy, but then tell me, I said it before, right when it came out and said the elbow was fine. I said, you cannot then go back and say, well, the elbow hurts. I mean, that's just, Joe, that's just my opinion on that.
You're not going to get me to disagree. Yeah, plain and simple. If you have the injury, but it didn't hurt when you were playing well, and then all of a sudden it's the reason you played badly, it doesn't work like that. Again, you played football, you played in college, and you didn't play well, but you played. I played at a reasonably high level in high school. And again, high school on Long Island, it's like playing elementary school anywhere else. It's not big time football.
Texas.
Yeah, not exactly, not close. But the point is, when you're playing in the NFL, everybody's dinged up, everybody's banged up, everybody's hurt. By the time you get halfway through the season, everybody's nursing aches and pains of some type, whether you're on the field or you're not. That's the realities of the situation. So I'm not willing to forgive the quote-unquote bad year based on the elbow. Plus, you've made some good points here. Let us not forget the previous year, the numbers were better, but was the impact much better?
Well, here's the thing: the sack numbers were better. The tackles were actually worse because the majority of his sacks that year, those 9 sacks, came from the defensive end position, not interior lineman position. He was playing. He was playing. I don't want to say out of position, but they rotated him a lot differently that 9 sack season.
Again, we've talked about it. Nose tackle, despite the size, despite the physical profile, he's a guy who makes his bones rushing the passer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't make for a good run-stuffing nose tackle because pass rushers freelance. They leave their gap assignment. And if anybody who watched Giant football didn't notice, there were an awful lot of Giant football players missing a gap assignment that led to big runs. And all you need is one guy to do it. The Giants had a plethora of them, but all you need is one guy to not fill his run gap, and boom, what could have been a 2-yard run now turns to a 22-yard run.
Exactly.
And pass rushing interior defensive linemen, especially when you put them on the nose, or you put the further inside you put them, the more that freelancing pass rush nature hurts your run defense. Let's look at another example, and people are going to call me out, and they're going to write all kinds of nasty stuff about me in the chat. Go for it. Aaron Donald, great pass rushing interior defensive lineman. Wasn't a great run defender. He was a freelancer. And if you look at the Rams' run defense in some of Donald's best statistical years, their run defense stunk because he was freelancing. No gap integrity. Big run plays. That's just the way it works.
Now,
so
someone actually just DM'd me about this, and I don't want to say the person's name because I think they I understand what they're saying. They want and I'll break it down the way I can. They want an understanding, a brief understanding of when we talk about gap.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim. Sometimes I get a little ahead of my skis.
No, that's okay. Some people sometimes say, Tim, a lot of times you don't use technical terms because a lot of people don't understand a 1 gap to 2 gap. They don't understand the B gap or the D gap. So in reference to basically what they do is they label holes. They're basically saying the A gap is the space between the center and the guard on either side, which, would be it would be your best route to the backfield. The B gap is the space between the guard and the tackle. The C gap would be the space between the tackle and the tight end. And then you have the D gap, which is the outside space of the tight end. So there's also referred to an E gap, and we're not going to get too far into that.
No wide nines on this broadcast.
No, we're not going to get into that. Now, a one gap technique, a defender will say, is basically responsible for a specific single gap. That's when you hear the phrase, that usually he's going to shoot the gap. It's usually a speed rusher. It's a guy that can penetrate into the backfield. The guy that disrupts plays has got the giddy up. Now, a 2 gap guy. Now, this is when we talked about 2 gap guy is usually your nose tackle. It's your bigger guy, and he's directly over the offensive lineman, and he's responsible for both sides of the player. So that's I think that's I don't want to say a rudimentary way to put it, but I think that's an easy way to explain. And thank you. And like I said, you don't have to be embarrassed if you don't understand something we're talking about. Just drop it in the chat. There's also a private chat button you can send me to, and people usually DM me a question. This question came vis-a-vis DM. So you did not win.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
Because it wasn't a stupid giant Twitter post.
No.
It was actually a very good question. I love this question. I got to get to the, I got to get to Kayvon Thibodeau. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Kayvon Thibodeau for a second. Phone rings. They're calling Joe. They're calling you Joe, not the other Joe. I hope no one fucking calls that guy. Oh, we got to get to the 2.
Actually, Starbucks calls him all the time. Starbucks calls him all the time. What do you want for Dawn and Harbs? Come pick up their order. It's waiting for you.
Joe. Joe. We love Joe Shane on this show because he's been so astute at wrecking this team. But the phone rings. Someone says, "Hold on, we gotta get Tim." This, of course, is the two-toe super chat. Tim, did you order the code red?
Who? Did you order the code red? I did the job. Did you order the code red?
You're goddamn right, I did. Or Brian Dable loser. Colonel, did you order the code red? Just tell the truth, Colonel. Phone rings. Third rounder, Kayvon Thibodeau. He's on a 1-year deal, $14 million. You'll clear up another $14 million in cap space because
Third rounder
for Kayvon Thibodeau right now.
We'll buy his plane ticket. Absolutely, third round. I'm going to tell you this unequivocally: if the Giants could get a third rounder out there in the market, deal would already be done. They can't get a third rounder. I think they're hearing all day 3, and I think they're holding out as long as they can, as it gets closer and closer to the draft. They think that somebody in desperate need of pass rush help, like Green Bay, primarily Green Bay, Indianapolis needs pass rush help. There are a few. Baltimore could probably use, not Baltimore, but I would say Green Bay, Indianapolis, maybe Tampa Bay. There are a handful of teams out there that could use pass rush help. And I think the Giants believe, as this gets closer and closer to the draft, they may ultimately get that 3. I'll say Green Bay. I think their third is number 84 overall.
Yeah.
I think that's the spot most likely. And if that call were to come, I'll buy him the plane ticket. I'll help him pack. I'll give you his nameplate off his locker here, so you don't have to make one yourself. I'll send them to you because that day 3 pick would be huge.
We have to play devil's advocate here. And this is going to be my question about moving on from Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, of course, his contract is a guaranteed contract. There's nothing in 27. If he has a great season, you're going to have to fight free agency to get him. But then my question is this: if you get rid of Kayvon Thibodeau, are you comfortable in even a hybrid 3-4 with Brian Burns and Abdul Carter as your starting defensive ends?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm convinced. I am. I'm okay. Again, it's not perfect, but I'll look at it from a number of avenues. It's not perfect because obviously you're a little short on depth. Neither of them is great at setting the edge on the outside. Of the 3 of the guys we're talking about, Thibodeau is the best at setting the edge in the run game. But couple of things. Number one, this team isn't going to be a contender for anything in 2026, so I'll make that sacrifice. 2, wait a minute. Here we go.
This is what I was hoping for. So the team is not going to be a contender in 26. You're going to make the sacrifice from Kayvon Thibodeau. Then the question could be said, why don't you make the same sacrifice for Dexter Lawrence?
Okay, fair point. Definitely a fair point, because I believe there may be a chance that Dex is going to be in my plans longer. It may not work out, but that's the case. I'm convinced that there's almost nothing that could happen with Kayvon Thibodeau that's going to have him in my long-term plans. That said, when you look at the plus side of trading him, the third-round pick that you desperately need, clearing $14 million has some pretty far-reaching ramifications for a team with some salary cap issues.
$6 million. Think about it this way with Dexter. James, come on the chat. I just put the chat in the link in the chat. Come on, James.
Hear me out on this.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something right now, because this might change your philosophy. Getting rid of those 2 players, you will clear $26 million in cap space. You will open up more cap space in 27, and you will probably get at least 4 draft assets. So you potentially could bring in 3 to 4 additional players and have 4 draft assets by moving on from 2 players that will not be, to your point, probably part of the renaissance of the New York Giants.
Very fair point, because now by doing that, guess what else I don't have to do? And this is the part of it that people are forgetting. you see everybody's talking about, well, we don't have that much cap space now. We still got things to do, and we can convert this and we can restructure that. Well, if I move on, even from Tibbs alone, without moving on from Dex, I don't have to do any cap gymnastics. I don't have to guarantee, I don't have to restructure Holland and Adebo. So if they have crap years in 2026, it's a lot easier for you to move on from them in the offseason than if I have to play some cap gymnastics with their numbers. I know it's not a big difference, but it's a difference. So I like the idea of freeing up money so I don't have to play with anybody's contract in this coming off season, and I got money to spend and I can do what I need to do. So definitely the Thibodeau part. Your argument on Dex is fair. It's very fair. I understand the age. I understand freeing up the money, getting the draft assets. And again, I think ultimately I would have to really know the thinking in that room about if they believe there's a chance that he's here through 2028. If they don't believe that's the case, well, I'm going to take that call. I'm going to play a little high-stakes poker here. You're 3-5. If we can play where I get a little draft capital in 2027 as well, I'm moving. But I'm going to play a little chicken with you. I'm going to play a little chicken. Maybe I got to do a pick swap instead of just a straight-out 2 picks in 2026, but I want draft capital in that loaded 2027 class, so I got to have something in that 2027 class too if I'm going to move from Dex.
Jalen Water, Pat Shurmur, McAdoo, Joe Judge, Brian Dale, none of them are defensive coordinators. So you had the perfect defensive coordinator in Wink Martindale for Dexter Lawrence. You had a good defensive coordinator in Patrick Graham for Dexter Lawrence. Shane Bowen's system technically sound for Dexter Lawrence because to everyone's point, he likes to generate his rush with 4 guys, which means you continuously went out and got yourself an Ashawn Johnson, a Darius Alexander. You tried to go out and find a DJ Davidson, which was earlier, but you tried to find running mates for Dexter Lawrence. We cannot continuously, great players play great. Good players play great when they have people around them. That's it. I mean, we have seen people dominate on both sides of the ball with no talent and no help. So you can't tell me that great. We got to go. Let's go. We got the teamwork to make the dream work. Let's go. Mets go. Oh,
I'm a Yankee fan. Sorry, guys.
Well, Joe had to leave. He was a Yankee.
That was good. You knew that was coming.
No.
I'm back. But I got demoted. I got slid over to the corner.
When you're next to the king, that's what you need to be. On the MightyFanDuel.com. Don't forget the zipper code, and don't forget the reasons to believe. That's Gary Reasons. Go right now. I think
Tim, it's funny. You'd mentioned something, and we've gone back and forth, and we're not really in disagreement on Dexter. No. I think the one part of all of this that we have forgot, because we've danced around it, we've talked about it. Well, what kind of guy is Dexter? You wonder at some point if Harbs watched and he said, this guy's been dogging it. I don't know if I want him here because I'm trying to instill a culture. And again, these are buzzwords and all of that. But at the end of the day, Harbs may look at him and say, a guy who's mailed it in and gotten fat and collected his paycheck physically, literally and figuratively, he may ultimately say, I don't really want this guy here. But we keep it close to the vest. This is not the Civ-like environment it was before I got here. So the calls are going to come in as the draft gets closer. And if people want to try and pry Dex from me, I'm answering the phone. I'm listening. And if that number gets exactly where I want it to be, I'm going to move. And, it's not unheard of. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying is for many, the idea of trading Dexter Lawrence, unless you're getting a Micah Parsons like, sort of haul, is unfathomable to Giants fans and Giant content creators alike. That's far from the case. This organization, based on where it is and based on Dexter's age, Dexter's weight, what Dexter does well, what Dexter doesn't do well, at the very least, the Giant organization and John Harbaugh and Donna Ponte and the other guy who goes to get the coffee have to most definitely be open,
Joe,
to trading.
I got to go with Joe on this one. Spano is still speculating on speculation.
All right.
We're still speculating. We don't want to speculate anymore, man.
Okay.
We're good with that. We're good with that. Big James in his house. What's up, brother?
What's up, fellas? Good morning, brother Joe.
Good morning, James. What's cracking, man?
Nothing, man. It's just listening to y'all and my brother Tim over here talk some Giants ball on this beautiful Sunday morning.
I hope I added something to Tim's magic, because that's really what my goal is here, is when I pop on and when Tim asks me to pop on, if he asks me to pop on for a full show in the future, is to add to this, to be the mashed potatoes to the ribeye steak.
Ooh, I like that.
Or the cream spinach, whatever your choice is. That's what it's about.
I like the fact that I'm a ribeye steak, James.
Well, it's your show, so you're definitely the ribeye steak.
And I like that.
I'm the mashed potatoes or the cream spinach, and I hope I add something, because if I'm not adding anything, then I don't need to be here, because it's about adding something and making this better.
I appreciate your comments, and you've watched the show for a while, so you know I don't take comments well. So fuck you. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't take comments well on this channel because nobody's hitting the like button.
Hit that like button.
Hit the like button, man. That's why I love it, because that's why I said Joe Ferries is like me. He's kind of a dick. We love Spano.
Hey, I can take it, Joe. I mean, I used to get hate calls all the time on the air. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
When I worked full time at stations, that was one of my favorite things. Hate calls on the air, or when they called the program director to complain, and he'd say, we're getting a lot of complaints. I says, well, good. Do you get any calls on the? So we don't get any calls on the rest of the shows. I said, well, then your question is answered. It's not whether they love you or hate you; it's whether they talk about you.
You're doing your job. But Joe, I'm going to let you go because I want to talk to James. I only got 8 minutes left, and I need to talk to my brother about the Knicks and a few other things.
You got it, man. If you ever want me on a longer form full show, reach out, and I'm always around and watching and listening.
I got your number, brother. You're going to be on. We're going to do the Spano spot. Ooh, the Spano spot. Oh,
Spano spot. I like that.
I love it. I'm going to listen to you guys wrap it up. I'm going to feed the dog. I'm going to take him for a walk and get ready. We're going to entertain this afternoon while we watch some hoops.
I don't think, Joe, you don't have any more content available, do you? Because where can you get more Joe Spano content?
In this day and age, I'm kind of enjoying what you would call semi-retirement. My investment portfolio did well. My contract buyout did well enough that after the pandemic, I did a bunch of things that were primarily in the writing space. And, I'm doing some freelance fill-in here and there. But, I guess the best place is I'll come and hang out with Tim a lot.
Well, Joe, you're always welcome. And again, that is Joe Spano. Let's give Joe a big round of applause.
That's it, Joe Spano on sports. What's left of it?
So I'm gonna talk to Joe again. Thank you for coming out. You're always a guy. You always had some great insight, and I really do appreciate it. So we're definitely gonna do the Spano spot coming up. We'll have to be into contract negotiations, but right now I'm very busy.
You know what? How about I'll make the contract negotiations real easy. The first one we do for free. You see if you like it, and then if you want to do something more with me, you do whatever you want.
Well, that's not how it works. You pay me.
Oh,
you pay me.
Hey, I'm going to tell a quick story, and I promise I'll get off. When I broke into radio way back when, before podcasting and live streaming, my first show was a brokered show. I had to pay to be on the air.
Wow.
I was selling insurance at the time.
That way.
Yeah.
Joe, I appreciate you, brother. I'll text you
anytime. Love you, man.
All right, man. All right,
brother.
Having Joe on. I think Joe is awesome. Joe has a lot of insight. He did a lot of stuff here locally. He was I remember because I remember him because we were talking about it earlier. He was on Channel 11 a lot, which is Picks.
Yeah.
I don't know if Channel 11's still around, but I do remember him. It was years ago. There was a bad Giant game, and he was what you call it. Oh, AJ's out. All right, AJ. Ciao, brother. I will see you later. It was great to have Joe on, but we got the Venerable James. I love the hat.
Oh, I could bust it out now. It's the time. I'm about to buy a new one, but I've had this one for like.
Get that hat. I love that hat.
I've had this one. I bought this from Lids. I swear to God, probably like 12, 13 years ago.
Oh, I love that hat. Everyone, well, a lot of people don't know, but I'm a Giant fan, and a Knicks fan, and a Mets fan since '82. I wasn't smart enough to be a Met fan in '84. I had to go through 2 bad seasons with Bamberger and everyone else, and the George Foster fiasco, and then letting Tom Seaver go after the '83 season because of the draft. I mean, exposing him to the draft. I'm not going to get into it, but James and I have our fingers crossed this year because I don't know, man. I don't know. They're winning. They won.
You know what? Sometimes the best things in life happen when you hope for the best. You don't know what's going to happen. You may even have a little negativity, like, I don't know if this is going to work. But sometimes if you just let things go, because I showed you the odds on making the World Series. I don't know why we're number 4 with all the talent we lost, but
I don't get that. Listen, you know what? On the mighty FanDuel, FanDuel.com, number 1 sportsbook in America. Don't forget, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Don't forget those wonderful things. But gotta get this quick. So if we keep Dex, do we draft a run-stopping defensive tackle to play along Dexter in a 4-3? Yes. If you're going to keep Dex and you're going to do a hybrid 4-3-3-4, you need to draft a run-stopping defensive tackle. The only problem is you're going to have to probably try to grab one in the 4th or the 5th round. And some of the guys we talked about, to me, are 2nd and 3rd round guys. So without that 3rd round pick, like I said, maybe moving on for Kayvon Thibodeau for a 3rd, freeing up the $14 million, getting back into the 3rd round and grabbing a run stuffing defensive tackle. Some of the ones that we mentioned make sense.
Yeah. I'll just, cause you guys talk, you had a good convo with Brother Joe, he'll be back spot on Spano. But I just want to reiterate, cause he said something that we already said, and he reiterated it, and I'm going to piggyback on the point that he piggybacked from us, that some of these guys are going to be gone in a year or 2. And Coach Ball has no loyalty to these guys. None. He's coming into a new establishment, and yes, like Spanos, he wants to bring in his own culture. He wants to bring in his ideas. Cool. Some of these players aren't going to fit that. And some of the guys who don't fit that are some of your favorite players.
Yeah.
And you are going to be upset, but it's for the benefit of the team.
It's for this here, not this back here. It's for the logo that sits right here on the front of the uniform, not that name on the back.
Yeah.
I get upset with people because, they may be your favorite player, but your favorite player has been here, 8 years, 7, 8 years, and you made the playoffs once. And you had defense in the last 5 seasons with him starting.
And right now, the 2 favorite players, I don't know how Dart and Scatterboo passed Malik Neighbors as fan favorites, but somehow I feel like that's happened, and that shouldn't have happened.
I agree with
you. And that should not have happened. That's why this fan base is just a little toxic. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Scatterboo is not the brightest back in the NFL. And judging off his production, judging off the fact that he's coming off an injury already, the fact that you even hear Jeremiah. Why are we hearing Jeremiah Love rumors with our top pick if we're so set at running back? Even if it is just a smokescreen, that's a hell of a smokescreen.
Because Jeremiah Love makes sense at 5.
Oh, thank you.
If you are truly built, now listen, everyone knows I am not a huge Jackson Dart fan. There are reasons and there are rationales, and we've broke it down on this channel before. I am not saying, and this is what pisses me off with people, because like someone posted something. I always laugh about Joe talking about getting negative phone calls, but I used to read some of my messages to James, and I stopped doing it because I stopped reading. Some of the shit I get is like, and I always tell people I am a fan. I'm a huge fan, but the problem is this: I'm not doing a fan channel. So that being said, looking at Jackson Dart, if you want him to improve, what's up, Jester? How you doing, brother? If you want him to get better, if you want him to matriculate into the next great starting quarterback for the New York Giants, you have to build a system around here, because his direct NFL current talent level is not conducive to carry a team. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's not a Steve Young. He's not a Joe Montana. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a guy that's uber talented that you could throw him into any system and say, okay, this is what he does. And we've done this ad nauseum. We've shown the charts. This is a guy that plays well between -2 and 10 yards. This is a guy that the white dots become more predominant when you go over 10 yards. These are his passing charts. This is not me. You see where the majority of his throws are. They're between -2 and 10 yards. And then when he goes outside his comfort zone, things go horribly wrong. So what you need to do is get a Jeremiah Love, because Jeremiah Love fits perfectly as a single back in a Matt Nagy system. Matt Nagy's most successful system was with a dual back set with Howard and Tariq Cohen. With Love, you're combining those two guys' assets, which made them special in that 12-4 season with Mitchell Trubisky that first year, and combine it into one player, limit then the amount of space you need to have in the running back room. If I get Love, I'm dumping Tracy, probably keeping Scatterboo and keeping Devin Singletary, and I'm maybe trying to get some assets for Tracy to get back into the later half of the draft, because his skill set fits an offense that truly does. If you look at it and you think he's better than Mitchell Trubisky, Jackson Dart, this system that Matt Nagy runs will fit his skill set to a T. And this is why I said before, if you look at the Matt Nagy system, it's not a vertical offense. It is a horizontal offense. We've talked about this, which is played within a -2 to 10 yard box where you use the pass almost like a run. And then when you lull the team's defenses up into your box, you then take that horizontal and shoot it vertically, which is why you need a player like Isaiah Likely. You need a Malik Neighbors, because of the fact that when they creep, and they're going to creep, you turn those safeties on their end. I
was trying not to. I'm sorry.
Every time I had to stop myself. But then when you do is, when those safeties come up, you then switch vertically and you play the vertical game. And when you're creating the horizontal offense, one thing you're trying to do is put the ball in a position that creates yak. And then you need speed guys for that. So going out and keeping Darius Slayton, having a healthy Malik Neighbors, having a healthy Mooney, whose best season came in his second year, was his 1,000-yard seasons with the Chicago Bears. Keeping, like I said, getting that Isaiah Likely. People forget about Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson can be a perfect threat within the box, in that -8 to 10 yard box, and then unleash him vertically. It's a perfect system, and the perfect running back to play in this system in this draft at 5 is Jeremiah Love. So if you want to be truly successful with Jackson Dart, you go get Love. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think I told my boy as we're coming into now we can start getting ready for the draft, because now it's actually coming pretty soon.
We're doing mock draft tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Oh, great. I'm off tomorrow.
I know.
So
I'm aware.
I told my boy, I said that the more you hear about this love thing, it's like the Daniel Jones train. The more, even though, no, I can't say that because I didn't hear about Daniel. No, that's bad. I'm sorry. That's a bad comparison. But the more, you hear, I take it back. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Buddha. Take it back.
I am a little stitious.
But the more you hear about the Jeremiah Love thing, like if you just keep hearing that, guess what, kids? Probably not a smokescreen. So, how about this? Our first pick in the draft, it's probably going to be a guy from Ohio State or Jeremiah Love. How about that? There you go. I just did the whole first pick for you.
You know what's funny, and this is what I keep worrying about Jeremiah Love. Who picks ahead of us? Who picks?
Is it the Titans?
Who picks?
Oh, yes, Dayball back to screw us.
Who would be the perfect Cam Ward safety net outside of the midget? Would be Jeremiah Love.
I mean, they are Giants. What would I call them? Southwest.
They're Giants to Nashville edition.
Like, so yeah, I could see Dayball saying, "Hey, Giants."
I gotta ask you a question though about Wando Robinson. So a lot of Giant fans wanted to pay Wando Robinson to bring him back. A lot of Giant fans were like, "Yeah, we got to pay him. We got to bring him back." Blah 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 blah. Then he goes to Tennessee, and Giant fans really kind of stopped because of the contract. They kind of all of a sudden they changed their tune. Well, he's not worth this. He's not worth that amount of money. I'm so glad we didn't do it. But then I love it because analysts started breaking down the contract. Sports writers and pundits started breaking down the contracts. And the general consensus is the worst contract given out in this free agency was to Wando Robinson. But when he was here for 4 years, I thought he was the greatest player since Lawrence Taylor. What the fuck happened, James? How all of a sudden the contract, he went out and got his bag, but now people look at the contract, they're saying, well, he's not a number one, and it really doesn't equal his production.
Well, add your point to the point that I watched Papa Smurf in an interview, and they asked him, "Hey, how do you think it's going to be being, switching teams and quarterbacks, and now you're going to be with Cam Ward? What do you think that experience is going to be like?" And this man said, "Well, Colin," no, I think it was a woman. "Well, it's going to be nice to finally have a consistency at the quarterback position where I more than likely know who's going to be my quarterback instead of every Sunday. It's kind of like, I'm not sure." And I was like, that's an interesting comment to make since we have our franchise quarterback already, but yet the guy who just played 14 games with him, 12 games with him last year, feels like that guy wasn't really on the field like that. And he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Damn it. Sorry.
What?
I forgot to put that up when I did the ZipRecruiter ad. ZipRecruiter technically fully starts tomorrow. I wanted to do a practice run today. But I forgot to put, so I got to put the ZipRecruiter thing back up. I forget. I keep forgetting that. So sorry about ZipRecruiter. We'll remember that on Monday when we truly kick off. Joe says, is Tim in, let's see here. Here we go. Is Tim full bloom love? Listen, I'm going to tell you this, Joe. The Giants are, I've said it before, you know it, we said it a million times. The Giants are a weird spot at 5. It's like last year being at 3. It's kind of a weird spot. There's so many players the Giants can go with. The only one that's going to piss me off, and not even piss me off, the only one that's going to make me upset is if you take a safety at 5. If you go against all complete NFL wisdom the last 50 years, we're at a 250 picks. Only 4 safeties were ever taken in the top 5, and only 50% of those safeties became productive players. I can't do it. I can't be happy. I won't be upset, but I can't be happy about it. You grab a running back, I'm good. You grab a linebacker, I'm good. Hell, you go get Big Francis out of Miami. Don't like it, but I'm good. the only thing that's going to piss me off is if you grab a safety. So, I mean, hell, Reese could potentially. There's talk about David Bailey now going to the Jets and Love going to Titans. You got Reese right there. I love Reese as a player. I think Sonny Styles offers you more, but I think for the more higher upside and immediate talent, I think Reese is a great pick. So Davey says, I will pay money to see James wearing a Yankees hat. How much? Because I get a quarter of that. So what, $100? Okay, James wearing a Yankee hat. I'll send you a Yankee hat.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works. No.
I wore an Eagles jersey. I wear a Green Bay jersey. I don't care. You want to pay me? Go right ahead. I'll do it.
Yeah, but no. You wore an Eagles jersey because one of our favorite and best players went there, and you wore a Packers jersey because a player you prognosticated for a couple of years before he came out went over there as well. So you had reasons. I'll be honest. I was a Yankee fan when Don Mattingly was there. I like Don Mattingly.
We talked.
I have a Don Mattingly baseball card, so I have. I've been to Yankee Stadium, both of them. So I dislike the Yankees, but it's a respectable thing.
It is a respectable thing. I love this. Papa Smurf feeling brave. He's 6 feet tall, standing on his wallet. Joe Ferry said,
that was good.
42 million. Wandells gets 17.
I know his girlfriend was happy because I saw her post.
Win says number one gets paid 34 million, not 19, but he's not a number one. He's a slot guy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You paid $19 million for a slot wide receiver. And he's not, we went through the list. I literally read on one of the shows, I literally read the list of all these slot guys. And I can't remember, it was either you, James, or someone else. And we talked about, would you take that player over Wan'Dale Robinson? And out of the 11 players that I read, somebody took all 11 besides Wan'Dale Robinson. So you paid him like he's the top slot. But if I offered 11 different players, most people took everyone else besides Wan'Dale.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just, again, like Brother Spano said, a lot of people think that this year we're going to be the Patriots. We're not going to be the Patriots. It's not going to happen. We'll have a better year. We're not making no NFC championship, and that's fine. And part of it is because, again, we still have some players here that, for us in our fandom here and in the Giants first, we've just kind of overhyped them. Papa Smurf was one of them. We still got a couple guys here that are still in that overhyped thing. And it's time for us to get back to blue blood, real Giants players. Like, real Giants players that are going to show up, you can count on. And how about we get some guys with some size in here? Shout out to Gary.
Reasons to Believe. Go get the book right now. And I agree with that. And I says, Tim, I can't pay you to put on the Yankees hats because you'll wear it at the drop of a hat. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Davey. Yes, my brother, I love him, but he will. Yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
Literally, he's about to sell out right now. God damn, you got a Yankee hat? If you have a Yankee hat there, I'm going to fall out this chair.
Nope. I'm just going to wear this. It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly in the basement tonight.
My God.
Just going to wear this Bleav flag a little bit. Just wear that right there. It's a little chilly down in here.
Oh my God.
Can I pay you Thursday for a hamburger today? Of course you can. Joe says, I'm a 56-year-old Yankee fan, but my first favorite player was Dave Kingman. Every bat was an appointment viewing. Dave Kingman was also a Met. I remember the Midnight Massacre when we also got rid of Kingman along with Tom Seaver. But Dave Kingman was such a weird Met. I mean, I think he hit like 218 and like 40 home runs because it was either a strikeout and then you paired him with George Foster. That just didn't work out.
No, it was not a good combination there. Entertaining to watch at times, but yeah.
It's not what you want to see. We're at how many likes? I wanted to get to 50 likes before I close it. We're at 47, guys. Let's get up to 50.
Come on, 3 more.
Let's
Uno, dos,
see.
tres.
So what y'all top three would you most excited to see at the top 5 pick? That's a great question, James. Who going 1 through 3? Top being the most excited, or you can go 3 to 1. I don't care. What would get James Williams to jump out of his seat at 1 when he heard with the 5th overall pick, the New York Giants select? Who would be that guy that would jump out of your seat, and who would be that guy that would be like, hey, okay. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3.
Styles, Love, Baines.
Really? Reuben Baines?
Yeah.
Didn't have a great pro day.
No. But I watched him. I watch college football like some of us do, most of us. And I've watched that guy enough because my boy is a Miami fan. So I've watched a few of his games, and I've seen him be enough of a force that I feel like we have Harbaugh here, we have new coaches here, and again, with all the, we're doing a lot about talking about Dexter Lawrence and, our interior line. Like, yes, no, I like Baines, but that's why I put him at 3.
That's a name you don't hear.
I know that. I kind of find it interesting that no Giants content creator or prognosticator has even thrown his name out there.
But if you go with Baines, what are you doing on the defensive line?
Well, obviously, I'm looking at it like I'm assuming that they're trying to trade a couple of these guys or get rid of a couple of these guys.
The only way Baines, in my mind, makes sense is if you move on from Kayvon Thibodeau. Because then that makes sense, because then you got to run stuff. You got a guy that's 270 pounds at 6'2" that can play the outside.
Yes. Well,
I just had to bring that back.
No, I just wanted you to say that. Thank you. Just came on out of here.
People out there going, what is James smoking? So now it makes sense.
Yes. No. Because again, the only thing I disagreed with Brother Joe was that you put the cut when he said, well, Kayvon sets the edge. And I'm like, does he set the edge?
No, not really. We're gonna get you want to, Eddie, I agree. The Giants do need a corner, but I can't take them.
Not that high. No, not that high. Unless you're telling me Deion Sanders is in this draft, which he is not.
He is a good pick at like 22, maybe 24 in my mind. That's what I'm saying. My top 3. That is a great question. Though. My top 3. What would make me super? What would make me? I'm going to have to go with James. I'm going to have to go Sonny Styles, and then I would go Love. But who would I want? Who would my third one would be? That's
the trick. The third pick is the one, because the first two.
Third pick is the tough one, because you also have to try to remember who is going to be there, because you got to think who went in the top 4. Like if the Jets go David Bailey, let's say, then Reese potentially would go. If you go David, let's say Jets go David Bailey. Let's say Arizona goes Big Francis, and let's just say the Titans do. I don't know what the Titans do, but then, because like I said, if Reese is sitting there, I might want Reese over Styles, because Reese, can play the linebacker and the edge. And I can get a guy that can play the run and still rush the pass, and I can trade Kayvon Thibodeau and get back into the 3rd round. I would still go Sonny Styles, Love, and I would go Big Francis out of Miami. I would go offensive. I would go offensive tackle. I can't do Caleb Downs. I can't do Caleb Downs at 5. I cannot go against 200 years of NFL wisdom, or the last 50. And go and get a 4th tier defender that I'm going to play at a 2nd tier level, who's under 5'9", and we already have the shortest safety in the league, and Darius Washington, who's 5'8". I'm not having the midget. I'm not having the midget brigade in my defensive backfield to play also as 2nd tier defenders.
Yeah, see, that's my thing where, like I was saying before, we have to get back to being the Giants.
Right.
We
not the little Giants.
Yes, no. We have, for the last few years, we got to get rid of the hybrids. The hybrid, the athlete, it's like
about that.
It's like, yes, I know. That's why I brought it up. Yes. Shout out to Gary again.
He said that the value of the position of linebacker is being devalued by being a hybrid position. But go ahead.
Which, no. But that's and I'm sure he goes into that more in his book, which I'm going to read that this week. I just like, it's kind of like basketball where these young guys, it's positionless basketball. No, there are positions in life. There are spots in life. Just do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't try to, I could do a little of this and I could do a little of that and I could do a little, call me now. No.
Let's do a little of that.
It's like, no, we need to get back to being the Giants. When we were good, when we had giants here, we had people that were intimidating. Again, no offense. I'm going to keep harping this point because I think he's just going to be my pinball until he proves me wrong. That if I'm a linebacker and I'm looking in the back and I'm thinking about, Jackson Dart might try to run, I'm just going to cream him. And then Scadaboo's back there. I'm just going to grab him by his arm and pull him down. It's not really like you're intimidated by anybody in the backfield we have right now, as far as just physicality.
Mike Lee has Lemon might be too high for him, but I would take him over Tate. Listen, I personally, and it's just me, I would take Lemon over Jordan Tyson and Tate. And I'm only taking him over Jordan Tyson because of the fear of injury, the Michael Penix effect. As the reason why I'm taking Lemon over Tyson. I think Tyson is the best wide receiver in the draft. I think he has the highest level route tree. Carnell Tate reminds me too much of Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think the next guy on that list, and I think one of the things that hurts him is because Tyson and Tate are both 6'2", and Lemon is between 5'10" and 5'11". And both of them, but speed-wise, I think they both have the same amount of speeds, and also Lemon operated predominantly in the slot. So, but I do think that Lemon, to me, is the best prospect outside of Jordan Tyson's injuries.
I will say, as the resident Buckeye informant here, that Harrison Jr., how can I say this? He has a little of that, I'm my daddy's son, and look at the name on the back of my jersey. Like Carnell Tate doesn't have that. I'll just say that. What up, Trenton? Shout out, baby girl.
Is that a helmet? Is that like one of those Renaissance Fair helmets?
What?
And Trenton.
I thought he was one of the. What's the joint I want to go? What's the thing in Jersey with the eating and the jousting?
The Renaissance.
You sit down.
Yeah, it's the Renaissance Fair. But you want to do the. Yeah, it's not the Renaissance Fair. I know what you're talking about. It's
I can't. I want to go there.
I can't think of the name of it, but I'm just wondering because my son is into that stuff, and he's actually has he's got a helmet from it's still in the living room from Gladiator. He's got the actual. My name is Gladiator, the Maximus Decimus Meridius helmet. So he's got that helmet, and he's always wanted one of those helmets, but I never know where to get them because
Well, it's kind of hard to find those.
Medieval times. There we go.
Medieval times. Thank you.
Boy, Dom. Thank you, brother. Medieval.
Thank you, brothers.
It is hard to find. Medieval times is Mike Lee. Listen, you guys can type medieval times, but your motherfuckers can't hit the like.
Thank you, Mike Lee. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. No, it was Lloyd got it first. Lloyd Goetz.
Oh, Lloyd. Thank you, Lloyd. Word. I definitely want to go. My boy brought it up. I didn't even know they were still. How is Modell's out of business, but Medieval Times is still going?
Because who doesn't love going to Medieval Times?
I mean, I love knights and all that shit. I do love it. And I'm going to take my dame.
Wouldn't it be your lass?
No, well, I was going to say something else, but it was the wrong term. My fair maiden.
Fair maiden, there we go. Dom says, I live in the next town over. So look, you can go with Dom.
Oh, dude, Dom, you want to go? We go there, have a good time, have some mead.
Have some medieval times.
Oh.
Ooh. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
What are the Knicks going to do today before we come on?
I don't know.
Do it. Oh my God, this guy. Jeez. He can't even show it. Yeah, he's trying to show the property. He can't even get it. You just see the B and the L.
Here we go. Because I believe I'll just wear this. This is going to be my shirt. I'm just gonna yes, I am a corporate shill. I really admit it.
I can't wait till we blow up. We're going to be on like an interview with Oprah and go, so when did you feel like you sold out?
Soon as they gave me the big check.
Soon as the check was in the bank.
Soon as the check cleared, that's when I sold out.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
I got to go in 5 minutes because I'm actually late, but I haven't seen you, so I want to talk to you. I got to give Bleav credit. I have to give Bleav all the credit in the world. It's not easy working with me. It's no.
But you're workable.
It's not a walk in the park. so I mean, they are fantastic at supporting the show. They have helped us get guests. They send us little things, and and they bring in the advertisers, and I love, what, and it's fun to say, I actually love this fucking mug, and not because it says Bleav on it, because this is a great mug. It's tall, it's thick.
That's what she said.
It fits in the gap.
That's what she said.
Snowpiercer again. You're just
dishwasher. But I love this mug. This is the greatest. This, outside of my Knicks mug, which is one of those big ceramic mugs, I love this mug. I wish they.
Well, they know you like coffee.
They still know Bob Papa. What's Bob Papa problem? That's not a Bleav problem. That's a Bob Papa problem. Listen,
they sent you a big black sign too. That's hilarious.
That's a banner.
Oh, it's a banner.
I'm slightly concerned that they're expecting me to do something and they haven't told me yet, but the packages are showing up for something I'm supposed to go do. I'm slightly concerned about that.
Are they going to put you in a plane and have that fly over?
They might. I would do that.
Have you fly over MetLife? It's online Big Blue, starting off the first game of the year.
I told my wife that I would wear that as a cape, and I'm going to run around the neighborhood going, I'm Bleav, man. I would do it.
Wait till I come so I can hold the back of it.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's what she said.
That's
my God.
Bleav problem. That's a Bob Papa problem. So if the Giants actually do it, the Giants didn't do a town hall last year, which led me to believe that they have some financial trouble because they didn't do a town hall. They didn't give out season ticket holder gifts. Just not going to.
Which is blasphemous.
But
season ticket holder gifts, you should always get something as a season ticket holder.
But they are. I mean, that's not a Bleav issue. Any chance that you're around today? It's not a burner account. I got to answer a text message.
Send you to West Virginia. Nobody goes to West Virginia but West Virginia.
Listen, I'm going to say this about West Virginia. I'm afraid of the racists in West Virginia.
I was going to say, listen, there's parts of West Virginia you wouldn't be accepted, buddy. Like, who's this guy with the slick back hair?
There was, I've talked about this before. We went to North Carolina. And then we shot over to South Carolina because I forgot we were visiting someone, and we stopped at this restaurant, and we walked in and we sat down, and it's me and two people that one other person looked like me and another person that looked like James, and we sat down, and
you had glasses.
The lady looks at me and goes, well, you guys, we don't serve your type here.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
And I love it. And I love it. So we like, we're like, oh yeah, because the James. We're like, yeah, really? What kind of racist shit is this? And she goes, no. We don't serve your type here. And she was mentioning the three other people they're with. And then I said, oh, okay. So, and then we go, well, what about this place? We saw this place coming in. It looks like they got good shrimp. And she goes, no, honey, you can't go there. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because you'll get cut. And I was like, okay, everyone back in the car. We're going back to North Carolina.
I was going to say, let's just go to McDonald's.
We're going back to North Carolina.
No, listen. Real quick, last word of advice: when you travel, some of y'all don't know this. You get on Instagram and see social media, like, "Oh, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go visit this." And no, there are parts on the map, and I know most of you don't read maps. There are parts on the map you don't need to go investigate. Please, thank you.
Yes. Yes, and like I said, we're
Literally, that's all I just want. Seriously, no.
Seriously, we're you know, and we're gonna end it on that because I do have to get out. There's a lot of stuff. I have to do today. Plus, we got it's short school weekend. We got 3 big shows coming up. Tomorrow we are doing our first mock draft. It's called Tim on the Clock. So we're gonna do that at 10:15. We'll have another stream on Tuesday, I think at 4:15. I haven't decided yet. And then we may have another stream on Wednesday. Now, the reason why I'm trying to get this all in, because Sunday is Easter. So I'm not streaming on the Lord's Day. So I'm not working on Sunday. So I'm trying to get everything in for everyone. So we can get into the mock drafts and get everything into that as soon as we can. Want to thank Big Joe from the Spano Spot coming on. Also want to thank James Williams. Also want to give a big shout out to the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, number one sports book in America. And we also want to give a mighty shout out to ZipRecruiter. Give ZipRecruiter a try right now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter.com/audio. And for James, this is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by the mighty FanDuel and the Bleav Network. See you guys tomorrow morning, and we are out of here. And we are out of here. And we are